Okay.
I'm ready, ladies.
Okay. All right. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Trish Lyle, and I am an EE Shank rep, and I am here to show you some of our fun little tools that we have today.
Perfect.
So we're going to start with the Pauline's Quilters World. She does a ton of different styles of what she calls sashers. They work similar to like a bias tape maker, but I feel that they're much better.
Okay.
So this is her like all-around set for doing standard sashings, bindings. If you're into applique, you can make your little stems for your applique parts out of these as well. They go from, I'm going to pull this out here, an 1/8 inch is where they start, and they go all the way up to 2.5 inches in this particular set. So that's just, like I said, her all-around sasher collection set. Now what I'm going to show you, let me actually show you this as well. This is her Quilt As You Go handbook, and it goes along with the sashers. So in this handbook, what it is there's all kinds of instructions, and it does show you and demonstrate what I'll be demonstrating today, but it shows you how to make these sashers so that you can do your quilt as you go. So a lot of people struggle with paying to have quilts quilted because of the cost. This is just another way that you can do different blocks and piece them all together yourself and do the quilting on your machine yourself as well.
Gracie.
So that's what's really cool about this book, and it's got all kinds of instructions in it. And let me find a whole picture for you here really quick.
Okay, so Gracie does have the sasher set, and we've got a number. So if you girls want it, put SO8. I've got it for you, Christy. I know what you want. But SO8 is the sashers, and S11 is the Quilt As You Go handbook. And then, you know, of course, we will do Zoom so you girls can actually get it out of the package and use it. So S11 is Quilt As You Go handbook. SO8 is the sasher sets. So if you're interested in anything, Gracie's going to show you as we go the few items that we're demoing today.
So here's a close-up picture of how you can use the sasher to create these little strips that will piece all your different blocks together. So you can pre-quilt your blocks and then put your whole quilt together, and over the seam is where you're going to put the strips that you make with the little sasher sets. So couple other things. We are going to demonstrate today how to use her weaver set. Now she's got multiple different sets of these sashers. Can you see that okay? Is there
Yep.
glare?
No, that's okay. They're used to glare. They're used to our bad
I'm going to take them
photography.
out. So these are the weavers. Now one thing you'll notice is
The author's name, Mary, is Pauline Rogers, and she's from Australia, I believe.
yes. Yep. And her company is Pauline's Quilters World.
Okay, Pauline's Quilters World.
So what I'm going to be demonstrating today is doing weaving sashers. So I want you to see the difference between these, the openings in the templates that they have. You'll notice the regular sasher is much narrower, where the weaver is much wider. Okay, and there's a reason for that. When you're using the sashers alone, you are using just a single layer of fabric, okay? And when you're using the weaver, you are going to be using fabric with a fusible fleece on the back of it. And that's what accommodates this opening accommodates the thickness of this fabric with the fusible on it. All right, so.
Okay, Gracie is going to show you the weavers, SO9, $24. Okay, girls, SO9, $24.
And the weavers, the set comes with the weaver to do a 1.5 inch wide strip and a 2.5 inch wide strip. Now the 1.5 inch wide strip is what we're going to be making today. So that's the template I'll be using.
Cindy Gygax, we're going to demo it momentarily.
Yes.
Tell them what like the numbers for the mouth were.
Not yet. You
Not
can just
yet.
leave it right here.
Yeah.
So, and we'll go over all the numbers. We'll go over all the numbers for everything that we're demoing after we're done. So don't worry, girls, but we do have limited amounts that can ship today, but we'll be able to fill the rest of the orders next week when we get back.
Okay. And then oh shoot, I just realized I forgot my rug out in the car.
Uh-oh. Do we need, okay, in a moment we'll take a break and you can go get it.
Okay. So the pattern that I'm going to be referencing today is this woven floor rug. And the woven floor rug is actually 43 by 23. The sample that I have is going to be much smaller so that you can see it better on the, the camera. But this is what we're going to be doing. And inside of this, it also gives you a rectangle reference for doing a rectangle rug as well. So perfect. Circular and rectangle.
So there's multiple options in the pattern.
Yep. All right. So couple other tools that you're going to need in order to do this project are fork pins. Sure, we've all seen these, but they're just, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So these are called a fork pin. You definitely want to use those. I'm also going to be using a wool pressing mat. If you have not used one of these things are amazing. They come in several different sizes. This happens to be the 12 by 12. But if you don't know about the wool pressing mats, what it is it's made from 100% wool. It's very compact. And what happens is when you go to iron on it, it absorbs the steam and the heat from your iron. And what it essentially does is presses your fabric from both sides at the same time. So if you do not have one of these sitting next to your machine to do some pressing, you want to get one of them.
So show them, Gracie. We have two sizes. We have the 12 by 12, and it is $38 SO5 for the 12 by 12. And then we have the SO4. We have
12 by 18.
12 by 18. Yep. SO4 is $49.
And we also have the fork pins.
And we have the fork pins. S12, $9. So don't worry, we can get that all put together for you girls later. So don't worry about that. Just pay attention to the demo.
Yep. And then, of course, my mighty steam iron. This little guy is quite a beast when it comes to ironing. It does a way better job than my big iron, I think. But it has steaming capabilities, and then you can also turn the steam off on it. I was hoping that I could get it to burst out some steam, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I don't think it's gonna poof for me right at the moment.
Okay, Christia, Gracie's writing notes.
Okay, so what we're gonna do to start this project, you have your fusible fleece, and it's you can get it here at your local quilt shop, and you're gonna want to cut strips. Now, whenever you're doing 1.5 inch wide finish, you're always gonna double that size for the strip of your fabric. Okay. So you're going to need to cut 3 inch wide strips in order to achieve a 1.5 inch finish strip. Now, you're going to need to do that with your cotton fabric and your fusible fleece because we're going to be putting them together. So they need to be the same size. Now, you can see on here that I'm not totally perfect on my edging. None of that matters. All right.
She's our kind of girl.
Yep, none of that matters because the only part that really matters on this is the beautiful front. Okay, the back doesn't matter because it's going to get covered up. So what you want to do in order to do this project is first you're going to fuse your fleece adhesive side to the wrong side of your fabric. All right, and I didn't want to do that part. We all know how to iron that together. So I have a few strips that I'm just going to demo how to do the sashing part. What you want to do is you're going to start, let's see if should I turn this way? Will this be better?
No, you're good.
You're going to start by just taking and folding in to the center. Okay? Just the end, just like that. Fold your two edges into the center. And then you're going to hit it with just a little bit of iron. a little bit of iron, a little bit of heat. And that way it's going to hold it down for you. All right. And all that is to make sure that you can feed it through your little weaver template much easier. So you start from underneath, come up, you're going over the bridge and back through. Okay. So this is how it should look. Now, this does take a little bit of finesse to get used to, but it doesn't take very many strips to get used to it. It's very, very simple. One thing I like to do once I have my fabric through is I like to shimmy my template back and forth, and what that does is it just relaxes that fabric into the template. Okay? Then you're going to take your fork pins, and I always like to spread the bottom slightly, and you're going to fork. And that's the other nice thing about these mats is these fork pins just slip right inside of there. There's very little effort to push those pins in. Okay? So shimmy, I'm getting that ready. Now, what you want to do, you're going to use your pointer finger. I like to put it right down the center of my strip. I use my middle finger and my thumb. And I use my middle finger and thumb to fold those pieces together, okay? And you're going to put a little bit of tension. Hopefully this won't move on me since this mat's not stationary here. But
so at home, how do you make your mat stationary?
Well, I usually, because it's by my machine, so I usually just let it butt up against my machine.
Okay.
And if I need longer strips, then I'll show you what we can do when you have longer strips. But I've also taken 2 mats like this if I need a longer area to work on. And I just always have something here. Now, if you didn't have something that you could butt up, you could always take and put like a clamp if you have like a little clamp or something.
Right. And if you girls don't have a clamp, your husbands probably do in their
search
toolbox.
their garage. Go search through the garage. But that's what I typically do, is just have it up against something so that it doesn't move too much on me. And then of course if you use your just regular ironing board, then that's not going to move on you. So what you want to do is you're going to take your iron. Now this template material can withstand the heat of the iron. So you're going to stick the edge of your iron right up against that template, okay? And I'm just putting a little bit of pressure, pulling a little bit. That's why those fork pins are in there. And I'm pushing with the iron. Okay? You see how that's working? So move my hands back a little, fingers back a little bit, put a little more tension, push. A little more tension, push. Now you'll see I'm getting to the end of my mat. So if that's the case and you run out of room for ironing, all you got to do, pull your pins out, move your strip down, put your pins back in, and just keep going. Super, super simple. Pull and push. Pull and push. All the way down. I ran out of mat again. And I'm doing this quickly. I would typically put a little bit more heat on it before I lift it, but you can just see how well this iron works as it is, having that fleece on there, and it's still folding it down and holding it very nicely. When you get to the end like this, you're just going to push off. Your end always gets a little bit wonky just because that's where the template comes off, but that doesn't matter because in your project you're going to end up cutting that off anyway. That's not the important part of it. So once I have that all fused, I usually flip it over, lay it flat, and I press it from the top now, just to get that nice crease in my fabric. Okay.
Yes, Mary, it's just regular cotton fabric. She's using a batik, but I think you could use any cotton fabric.
Yep, you can. Any cotton fabric would work just fine. So once you have it done and you flip it back over, you have your perfect 1.5 inch wide sashing strip. with the fusible fleece in there. That fusible fleece is what gives that rug the body that it needs to be more like a rug. Makes it cushiony. All right, so there's that. That's how it starts. You have your cotton strip, your fusible fleece, you put them together, and then you create all these pieces. Now, I just did scraps, but if you're doing a big rug, then of course you'd be using maybe full widths of the fabric, but it's still the exact same process regardless of how long your strips are. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to start weaving them, okay? And when you weave them, I'm just going to do a small little weave here for you so that you get the idea. But it's over and under, and then under and over. So there's my first run. Let me pull this back here actually so it stays on the table. Okay, and then your next strip is going to be over this one, under this one, and over this one. It's just like a standard basket weave that we're doing.
And do you use a particular weight of fusible fleece?
I can tell you what it is. I think it was Pelon 9. Let me see what it says. If it says it on here. 971 is the Pelon that I used.
So Pelon Thermolam Plus TP 971F. But
Yep.
could you use any of the fusible fleece?
You could use any of the fusible fleeces. This just happens to be what some stuff that I had at home. The other nice thing with it being the thermal is that if you wanted to make little like trivets to set like hot pads or whatever,
Oh, cute.
you could even do that with this as well. So lots of
does
options.
she sell? Are there available smaller of the weavers in case you wanted to do smaller trivets? That's kind of a cute idea. Or
The
placemat?
smallest that they have is this one for the weaver.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that still would be a cute placemat.
Yep, you could do a placemat. And if I hadn't, can go out and get my sample here in a little bit, I'll show you. I did like a 12-inch round sample, and it would be a perfect little trivet to set on the counter to throw your hot pan on or anything. I mean, it's great. So, and I had lots of other little ideas when I started doing this. I was like, oh, you can make little table mats for the different holidays. You could cut out like heart shapes and make a heart or a clover for St. Patty's Day or tree for Christmas. Because you'll see once I get this started, now this one again is going to be over, under, or excuse me, under, over, under. I always do that backwards. I'm so silly. So you can see how it's starting to come together, okay? And let me do one more for you. So over, under, and over. All right. Now, one thing that you really want to do, and once you get started, I use just regular straight pins, but you can take and push these. If you get close here, I don't know if you can see, but you can push these and shimmy these together so you get that perfect corner where they all meet perfectly. And I use just regular straight pins to hold it for me while I did this process. I'm just going to use these because this is what I got right at the moment, my little fork pins. And I always made sure that all my pins stayed going the same direction so that when I quilted through it, that they were all going the same way and I didn't stab myself. And it does take a little bit of, you know, finagling. You have to keep shimmying these around and together just so that they all meet right in that corner so that they're perfect point. Okay, and then all you're going to do is figure out what you want your pattern to be. If you want it to be a rectangle or if you want it to be a circle or a square, then you're going to cut out a template, and I just used freezer paper and cut out a circle. I measured, I think I used an actual embroidery hoop for my perfect size, and I cut that out of freezer paper, and then I laid it on top of my grid once I had it all put together. And that was how I cut out my template, or cut out my mat, was with that template. So when it comes to quilting it, you can do whatever you want. You can get all fancy if you want and do pretty quilting through it. All I did on my sample is cross hatching, so I just went through my corners, you know, made big X's all the way through, and it looks really, really cool. So it kind of just enhances the whole like squares look, because then you have your stitching making squares on point. So just really neat. But like I said, whatever shape you want, it's super easy. Just create that template. And then all I did was, before I did my quilting, I just put a solid piece on the back so that it had a finished backing and you wouldn't see all of this. If you leave it like that, then you're going to see your strips, and you don't want to see that.
Well, and if you were going to make a rug, you could go to Home Depot and get this non-slider stuff.
Yep.
And sew that to the bottom of it.
Yep, you could. So that's what this is. And there was something else I was just thinking. Oh, and then for my binding, I just did a regular binding like I did around a quilt. But just remember, if you do a circle and you're doing the binding, you need to cut it on the bias, or else it's not going to curve around that circle nicely. You'll have a lot of pleats and puckers. So
and then you make your binding with the other sasher sets?
Yep.
Okay.
You can use the regular sashers that are hidden under here. Right here. Okay? And like I said, these ones are used for single layer of fabric. No fusible fleece on it.
So when the masks when people first started making the masks, you couldn't even get these sashers because everybody was buying them to make the bias straps.
Yep.
Yeah.
To go around the ears and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, these were working so slick, and it just made it sped the process up. The other nice thing is, you know, old-fashioned time, we always just took and we would just turn these in by hand and iron them down, and before you know it, your fingers are burning because the iron's right there, the fabric's really hot. With these templates, your fingers aren't near that, and it doesn't burn you at all. So that's another nice feature about this, is it keeps you from hurting yourself. So yeah.
Okay, so girls, think about some questions you have, and do you want to run out and get the rug so we can see a finished one?
Yep. I'll
Okay.
go out and grab it. The other thing I was going to mention too is, Beth, you can look at this, but she's got lots of other patterns available on the website, so you can look at those.
Okay.
And then the different sashers. Now she's got sashers that work with jelly rolls, so that you can use the strips, the 2.5-inch strips, and she's got patterns that accommodate those. She's got bag patterns, which are really cool. So lots of different options for using these sashers.
So I'm sure, like always, like everybody, she's probably got a website and a YouTube channel or whatnot, showing you even more ideas to use the sasher tools.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, if you just go directly to her website, you can find that. One of the things in this book that she talks about, so when you do the sashings for your quilt as you go, she does recommend using the Roxanne's Baste It glue, and what that does is it just temporarily holds your sashings in place until you get them stitched down. So this is the glue that she recommends using for doing that.
Mary Beatty, what's a washer? Were you talking about a washer? We don't know what you're talking about, Mary. Okay, keep going. Mary will catch up.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. It's super easy. It's really, really fun, and I think once you guys start playing with these, that you're going to find that there's a lot of different things that you can actually use these with. And I think that's about it for this little demo. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Yes, the sasher makes quilt binding. Yes, Mary.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
You would use just your regular standard sashing set to do that because you're just using a single layer of fabric to do your binding. And then, of course,
but
there's
only
lots of different...
if you cut your binding 2.5 inches, like most people do. I do mine 2 1/4, so it wouldn't work.
Well, 2 1/4 it would because you'd use
1 1/8.
1 1/8.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's pretty exciting. So you got all kinds of sizes, so you can personalize it to the size that you want to do.
Yep. I keep hitting myself.
I know. I hate these things. I know.
It's nice though. Then you don't have the mask, so you can see your face.
Exactly.
Just remember, anytime you're doing these, whatever size the finish is, you're gonna double that for your fabric. So if you have a standard size that you would typically use, like yours, then you can just divide it.
So if you're going to use the 2.5 inch sasher, you're actually cutting your fabric 5 inches.
Yes.
So, and then the tiny ones you would use to do like little vines or something for applique instead of bias bars.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
And then, okay, do you want to go get your rug or do you want to show us the
well, I can
coloring?
go on and show this, and then when you're showing them all the stuff, I can go out and grab it.
Okay, perfect.
Let's do that. Then they don't have to wait for me right now.
Okay.
So let me clean this up really, really quick.
Okay. All right, girls, we did find, we have these turkey patterns. Look at how cute those turkeys are. I know. They were made for BJ made them. And she used our fabrics, so they're kind of wild and crazy. You could do yours in browns. And the pattern is $10 for the turkeys. Look at how cute those are. You'd have to look in the system. I don't know.
That's not in the system.
Then Google it.
I did Google it.
I don't use your resources.
You are a resource.
I know, but I don't know. You could ask, I don't know. You'd have to look it up, just like I'd have to look it up. Okay, we're almost ready, girls. We've got demo part 2.
Demo part 2, something totally different.
Hey, Lynn, how are you? Are you still on the East Coast? Are you coming home anytime soon? Okay, so we're going to be demoing coloring with Crabapple Hill patterns. And we bought several of the Gypsy Halloween patterns. We've got several different things. So it's going to be kind of exciting because who doesn't need, it's kind of like the diamond art. Sometimes you just need some downtime. And coloring is pretty relaxing.
Yep. And just like all the new adult coloring books and stuff that are out there, this is kind of just a way to incorporate your craft and your hobby into doing that coloring as well. So it's really good therapy. Now, I want to go over all the tools because, of course, those are the most important part of every project. Now, you always need, of course, your fabric. The fabric is the star of the show. And I don't have my actual sample. It's at one of my shops right now. But I do have a picture of it. So I had done, sorry, it's a little crinkly.
That's okay.
I made it into a pillow, okay? And I used the Wicket the Crow Crabapple Hill pattern. All right. And then, so I'll set that there. I'll set this there. And here's an up close colored version of it. So you can see better. You don't see all of the pillow. You just see the coloring. So fabric is the main thing. I absolutely love On Point fabric. This stuff is, it has that quilted look to it. I don't know if you've ever seen it before.
We have it in black, but I didn't.
Yep, it comes
in a beige.
Black, white, and beige.
Okay.
Now this one is been tea dyed, so that's why it's a little bit darker.
Okay.
This is the actual color that it comes in. And you'll notice the other thing about it is it gets really wrinkly when it washes because it slightly shrinks up, which gives it that kind of vintage look that I like. Some people don't like that. If you don't like that, then you have lots of options.
Don't wash it.
Don't wash it. That would be one of them. But you can use straight muslin. So here's a sample that I started using just straight muslin. Okay, and then you can also take your lighter printed fabrics. And this is a really pretty scrolly print. And one thing I love about using a printed fabric is it just adds that little extra detail behind the coloring, and it enhances it, I think. So we'll be looking at that again. So of course fabric is your number one. You have to decide what you want to put it on.
Oh my gosh, Lynn, how could you forget that today was Friday? We always have a demo or a sale on Friday. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. Tune in to Fabric Chicks.
Okay, and then of course you need your coloring pencils. Now Crabapple Hill recommends using Prismacolor, but we don't carry Prismacolor, and I wanted to test what we do have, which is the Faber-Castell brand, against the Prismacolor. I do not see a difference at all, other than really price.
Right.
These are much more affordable for people. They're still a nice quality eco pencil, and the pigment in these is just as good as they are in the Prisma. So this is what I used for all of my samples and what I'll be demoing with today. So Faber-Castell, they come in 24 packs, 12 packs, a 48 pack, and then they also have 12 pack metallic as well, which are really pretty.
Huh. So if you girls really get into it, we can order all of those. Today we have I think the 24 pack and the 12 pack.
Yep, of just your standard colors. The other cool thing about these is, when we pull them out here, they have these little grippies on them. You see that? And the nice thing about the grips is it just gives you that you can hold the pencil much nicer with those little bumps on there. Okay, you have a little bit more control. Now, every time you have a colored pencil, there's always going to be that time that you need to sharpen it, because it's going to go dull eventually. So they have created a special pencil sharpener to accommodate the grip, the little bumps on those colored pencils. So this is what the sharpener looks like. One side has the color grip sharpener on it. And then when you go to the other side, it's just a universal sharpener. So you have where you can just use regular colored pencils, regular pencils. You can even do crayons in here. So there is a whole nother method for the Crabapple Hill patterns, and that's using crayons, but it's a totally different method. But this sharpener is great. It's a trifecta for all those different options that you have. The other thing you're going to need is some sort of tracing pencil or marker in order to get your pattern onto your fabric. Now, there's a couple different options, and both have their pros and cons. The Micron pen, these are just a standard pen. They're permanent. Okay, this is not the right size. I grabbed the wrong one. This is the 005. You want the 01. The problem with the 05 works, but it is so tiny that if you are on a fabric similar to the muslin, the little pen part can actually kind of get stuck in the weave of the fabric because it's so small. So if you go with this one, you definitely want to jump up to that larger pen size. But the thing with the Micron pen, like I mentioned, is that it is permanent. So if you are tracing your pattern and you mark in a spot that there's not supposed to be a mark on it, then it's there. You have to cover it with some sort of embroidery floss or something, because it's always going to be there. It's not going away. Now, the other option would be to go with the friction pen. Okay, we've all heard about these. This is a new style that we have. I really, really like it because it's more like a marker. You can see, you want to look at this point on this?
Okay.
The point on this is nice. It does a fine line, but what else it does is with heat, it erases. Okay?
Oh, it's like the friction pin.
It is. It's just a new style of their friction pin. They call this the friction fine liner. Okay? Now, the cool thing is, like I said, is it goes away with heat. The problem with that, though, is that if you put heat on it, it goes away.
So don't iron it till you're done.
You don't want to iron it until your embroidery is all done. Okay? So, pros and cons. They kind of, you know, the good reasons for this or the bad reasons for this and vice versa. I recommend trying both and seeing what is the best option for you. I personally prefer this pen, the friction pen, because I move pretty quickly when I'm tracing and I always make a mistake. So I want that to go away when I'm at the end of my project.
Well, there's nothing worse than getting a permanent marker on your project.
Exactly.
Then you have to like applique a butterfly on top of your pumpkin or something.
Yep. Or just put a weird random stitch somewhere with your embroidery. What I was just gonna say something. I was just thinking.
Peggy, I'll give you the prices in just a minute, but I think that it's $7.55 for the pencil sharpener.
Let me get there.
I don't know. I'm not really positive, but I'll. Oh,
I think
Gracie's
so.
getting it.
Yep.
Okay, so S10 $7.55, and then we'll hold up all the products that we're discussing. We'll hold them up while after we're done with the demos. Because Gracie can't stay focused and just be our Vanna White. She's trying to run the front cash register too.
Okay, so those are the two pen options. Definitely try both and see what you like the most. Now, the other thing that I just remembered what I was going to say. When you are doing any sort of project like this for the tracing, it's always recommended to use brown. Brown is the color that you want to go with because it hides with any color of embroidery floss that you use. It just kind of like becomes that color.
Mm-hmm. Black sometimes can be too harsh.
Yep, it can. So always go with brown when you're doing some sort of tracing like this. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yes, Peggy, and yes, Katrina. Okay, we got a light box coming up.
Yep, this is our light box. And mine's a little bit messy.
She's got some fusible on it at the moment.
Actually, it's the extender.
Oh, okay.
I forgot to put my paper under it. So, don't be like me and mess up your light box. But this is so awesome. These are called the wafer light boxes, and they are in 3/8 inch thick. Okay, super lightweight, durable, very portable, so they're easy to take to classes with you, and they come in 3 different sizes. This is the size 2, wafer light box 2. So this is the medium size, and I like it because it typically fits just about everything that I do for tracing fits on here. The smaller one is roughly a little bit bigger than just a standard sheet of paper. So it would be a little bit harder to fully trace
Bigger projects.
decent projects. Yeah. The other nice thing about this is it's dimmable. So if you have your power up here. If you hold your finger, it's getting brighter. Now to dim it, you lift it up and you hold it again and it just slowly dims until it's gone. Then I want to start it again. Turn it on. Wherever you turn it off at, it turns back on at that point. Okay? So let me show you. It's getting brighter.
It's not a very good demo, girls. It really is getting brighter.
You can't see it in the camera.
Not really.
So I'm going to dim this down a little. There, it's getting brighter. I don't know if you can see.
A little bit. Can you girls see it?
And then there it's dimming. So the nice thing about it being dimmable is that my eyes are super sensitive to light. And when you're trying to trace something, if you don't have enough light behind it, then you can't see it to trace it.
Right.
And sometimes if there is too much light on it, you can't see it to trace it. So having this dimmable ability just gives you that option to make it comfortable for your eyes to use. The other cool thing about these light boxes is they're not just used for tracing. I don't want to go off on a whole nother tangent because I could, but I do want to show you.
You totally could make a case for the light box so you could take it to classes, Mary Lou. That's a super good idea.
Yep, you could very easily. Now, the other awesome thing about these is they have pre-cut mats that fit each one individually. Cutting mats. So they have a clear cutting mat.
Like you can cut with your rotary cutter on
You
that?
cut with your rotary cutter right on here.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to show these, but they're a totally different demo that we could do with this. So they have the clear, just straight cutting mat, and then they have one that has the grid on it with your degree marks as well. So
even if you're cutting with your rotary cutter, it actually would help you to get more precise cutting because you've got the light behind it.
Yep, and
that's very interesting. I haven't
if
seen
anybody is into paper piecing, this is where this really comes in handy, especially if you're wanting to, like, in one of your parts of your paper piece, you have, say, a specific part of your fabric that you want to come through just in that spot on your paper piece.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you lay your fabric down on here, you can see that
mm-hmm.
print transfer through with the light on. So then you can lay your template over it, or your paper piece foundation
mm-hmm.
paper, and you can line it up so that you get it perfect. And then, of course, you can cut and do all of that on here as well.
Maybe, girls, the next time she comes, we'll have her do a demo on paper piecing.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yep,
What?
I totally could. And
All
we have lots of different cool pattern options for that as well.
Perfect.
So that's the light box. That's what I used for
all of your tracing.
All of my tracing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the plug-in for it, this is always stuck in here, but it has the option of pulling the plug right here, so you only have a little cord that you have to deal with to put it in a drawer. But if you make a bag for it, then you can keep your cord in the bag with it and you'll never lose it.
True, true.
Okay, so let me get this off the table real quick.
Mary Lou says you definitely need to come back.
I'll be back, I promise. So, a couple other items. Let's talk about, because this is what we have here at Shank that you guys can get. There's a few things that you have to get just at a regular artist store. Jacquard colorless extender, okay? This is used for making your project permanent. The color stays with the fabric and becomes washable and dryable, and the pigment doesn't leave. So, on here, I have already added the colorless extender onto all of this part, my colored part. So you can feel this. You can hardly, so that you can tell them, you can hardly tell that there's anything on there.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been heat set yet. This hasn't been heat set because I'm not finished. So I don't want to erase my lines.
Oh, that would make me cry.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did that.
And heat set it before you're ready.
Yep. I say just heat set it at the very end. When you have the full project like finished, that's when you take the iron to it. So I already did that. I learned from my mistake. You know, everybody thinks that because we're in this industry that we're professionals at this. No, we make mistakes all the time.
All the time, huh, Mary Vitti?
I'm going to show you my mistake that I made on that little rug here when I go get my samples. So we always make mistakes. My mistake on this was The first one that I did, I ironed it before I got my embroidery done. So now I know you don't iron until the end.
Oh, look at poor Gracie. She's got mascara on her shirt.
It won't come out.
How did your mascara get from
It'll
your
come
eye
out.
to your shirt?
I have no clue.
Do you have grandma's wash?
Oh, nope.
I have a paper towel. I'm just gonna
She's gonna rub it in even more.
You're gonna make it worse.
It's a tragedy here at Fabric Chicks.
So this colorless extender, when you look at it, you can see it almost looks like Mod Podge.
Yes.
Very similar. Also looks like Elmer's glue. It's not though, because it's washable, dry cleanable. You can throw it in the dryer, you can throw it in the washing machine, whatever you want. It's not gonna hurt anything that it's being washed with, and it's just gonna protect all of the hard work that you put into your project. So that's a very important part of this, especially if it's something that you are gonna wash. So if you say you do dish towels, maybe you want to do some dish towels for some of your family for the holidays. You can color these, make them personal, put this on there, and it's permanent. So, a couple other things you need. Of course, you need a paintbrush. I prefer using these little flat square brushes, but any brush will work. You just
You guys
want
used to carry those with Jacquard. You don't carry their packs of paintbrushes anymore?
Mm-mm. I can see though if we can get some.
Yeah, because I used to order them.
Yeah, we don't have any paintbrushes right now that I know of. I can double check on that though.
Mhm.
But this is actually a makeup brush. I just had an extra one at home, so that's what I use. And you want to make sure that when you get done using this, that you clean it out of your bristles really, really well. Use some like dish soap or Murphy's oil and clean that out of your bristles. Otherwise, it's going to dry up and then you're going to have to throw your brush away. So in order to keep reusing it, clean it really well and before it dries. So you also need, we've all probably seen this too, this is Loctite Fun Tack. This is the poster, if I can get it out, stuck. This is the stuff that you use to hang posters up on the wall so it doesn't damage your paint. It's the same thing. We're going to use that for this, and it's going to be used as our eraser. The only thing I recommend with this is always test. I know for sure that this Loctite blue stuff is okay. The dye or whatever's in this does not transfer onto your fabric. But there's all different kinds of these out there, so make sure that before you go and just grab any of them, that you test whatever you got on a little corner of your fabric so that it doesn't damage the fabric. Or just get this kind and you'll be fine. This is our eraser though, and what the eraser does is if you have a spot where maybe you get too heavy with the color when you're coloring, you can use this to lift the color off of the fabric. Maybe you want to incorporate a little bit more shading, like when I got going on this crow, I wanted to add a little bit more of a highlight in his belly. So all I did was use this and it just picks the color right up off the fabric. So that's your eraser. The other thing is you're going to do a lot of blending with your colors. These are just your traditional blending stumps, an artist blending stump, anyone that does like pencil or graphite work, this is what they use. Same thing, we're going to use it for doing the exact same thing, only we're going to be using it to blend our colors instead of our pencil. The other thing is you'll notice that as you start working with them, the color transfers onto the tips. Now, if you have multiples of them, then it doesn't really matter, but if you have the same one that you need to use in different areas with different colors, then you need to clean this before you use it somewhere else. So what you want to do is you want to use either a fine sandpaper, emery boards for like filing your nails work really good too. The little kit that I got of these came with this, which already had the sandpaper on there. And all you do is you rub it across the sandpaper, and I just kind of twist as I go. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to get the majority of that color off. So I twist as I go, and it gets kind of fuzzy, and the fuzz isn't going to hurt anything. But you can see that after you do that, it gets clean so that you can use it in another area. Okay, so I wouldn't want to use an orange tip on my black area or the black on the orange area, so you want to clean it in between uses. There's different sizes. I prefer this number 2. It seems to be the one that I go for most of the time when I do my shading and blending. There's also a number 1 and a number 3, and they actually go all the way up to a number 6, so you can see that there's some pretty big ones that you can use. Now, the reason for using something that big would be if you're working in a much larger area, but typically when you're doing any of this kind of coloring, you're working in a smaller area, so you just need the smaller blending stumps. And that is all of the tools that you're going to use to do this. So let me move this out of the way here. And I'm going to, hopefully this one you'll be able to, actually I can use this other corner here. Let me do this, because I think it'll be hard for you to see me doing it on the print. It might get distracting.
You girls should ask lots of questions so she could do like a whole project, and then she could leave it here as a sample.
Yeah.
I think Mary's saying the dollar store has makeup brushes cheap.
There you go. Yep.
Can this process be used on our thread painting? Which part of the process, Mary? You could definitely use the light box and trace patterns and things. So I think the answer is yes, but what part of the process exactly are you asking about? And then Marilyn, it's Jacquard, Jacquard. Okay. And what size is the largest light box that you sell? Lynn, we can look that up for you.
I'll look it up. It's one size bigger than that one, and it's pretty good size.
Yeah. Oh, Mary, we could totally thread paint. You could color this in, and then you could totally free motion thread paint it. Yes, you do not have to embroider it by hand.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. There's nothing you can't thread paint and embellish. It's a colorless extender penny. And then we will have, I think we have those on sale for $5.49.
S14.
S14. So Penny, anything you want in your basket, just let me know, and then I will deliver it to you when I pick up more of the quilt frames. Okay, what else do we have?
Okay, so now it's just doing the technique of coloring. And you can work from light to dark or dark to light. Just depends on, what you feel comfortable with. So I'm going to go ahead and just start with light to dark. And you definitely do not want to hold your pencil normal, okay? These grips like this are great, but for this type of coloring, you do not want to hold it like this because you're not going to see with that color. Let me see. If I color like this, you get really streaky lines. Can you see that purple on there?
Yep.
Okay. So you get really streaky lines. You don't want that. We want this to be really soft and really filled in. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold it like this. Now, I don't know if that's a good way to show you, but basically you're holding it sideways because you want to use the flat part of your pencil and not the tip, okay? And that's what's going to give you that really soft color. You're not going to have any lines in there.
And when you cut your fabric for your background, you do want to cut it larger so that you have space to like color and like try different pencils out so you know what shade you want to use for different things. So, and if you have any questions, you can always ask them on the Fabric Chick Stitch Along because Debbie Clarkson is like an expert colorist. Okay.
Okay, so the other thing you want to do is you want to move in a circular motion at all times when you're coloring. Okay, so I don't know if you can see me doing this, but I am circles the whole time. You don't want to go back and forth because that's what's going to create these lines. We don't want any lines. We want this to be soft and
Blendable, just kind of like paint.
Yep. So circles, I'm going all the way along this because I want it to be light towards the inside. And you can come out as far as you want. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to go out that far, then I'm going to switch to my next color. And since I'm going light to dark, my next light color is going to be this orange. Now I'm going right, I'm going to start right where my yellow ended. Once again, using the side of my brush, I'm doing, side of my pencil, I'm doing circles, and I'm slightly overlapping that yellow. And can you see that on here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm slightly overlapping, and I'm just coming out as far as I want.
Yes, Penny, Peggy, and Teresa, I can hand deliver all of your product to you. You know, we're a full service shop.
Okay, then I'm going to my next color, which is going to be the darker orange, and I'm doing the same thing. Starting along that orange line, and I'm coming out. And I want a little bit up here, so I'm just going to bring it over a little bit. And then this is where you get your little blending stump. Okay? And I'm going to start from the dark, and I'm going to work in. And same thing, always moving in that circular motion. And I don't know if you can see this on the video, but you can see how as I'm blending this out, it is softening the texture of that pencil. Even though I still was staying in that circular motion with a pencil, it just keeps
So
it
you're kind
nice
of pulling
and
the
soft.
darker color into the yellow.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yep, I'm just moving my way back in. So once I get that how I like it, okay, I want more orange in this. So I'm going to go back with my medium color. Since I used 3, we'll just say light, medium, and dark. This is my medium color. I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to start adding my medium color where I want it.
Peggy, we don't sell the blender. You have to go to Michael's to get that. Sorry. We're almost a one-stop shop. Although I'm going to go get one for myself, so I could pick you one up if you want it.
Circular motion. And I'm just working my way back towards the yellow because I'm putting it right on the line where that yellow and the light and the dark meet. I'm adding this medium color because I want to add a little bit more pop of this color. There's no right or wrong to how you color this. It's all just a preference on how you want it to look. You can see over here that this is really more orange, where these two I've done them more yellow. So it's all just a matter of playing with it and layers and layers and layers. And so now I'm coming back with my blender, and I'm starting where I started adding that medium color, and I'm blending it out into my dark. And always working in that circular motion. And then if you feel like you need to, you can come in and you can blend it towards your light as well. And it just kind of cleans up that line. It's amazing. It's really hard, I know, to see in the camera, but it is amazing what it does in person and how it makes it look. So once again, if you want to, you can come in and add some more dark color. Maybe you just want certain parts of it to be dark. Okay, you don't want all of it. Maybe you just want this upper part because it's got a shadow from the bird. All right, the crow. You can just come in and lay in a little bit of that dark color. So I'm just adding it in here, doing my circular motions. Then I'm going to come back with my blending stump, and I'm going to start at the top or the edge, and I'm just going to start circling it down till it blends in. just like that. Does anybody have any questions? Could you see that pretty
Yeah, no,
well
they
on
can
there?
totally see it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, you can go back and rewatch this video as many times as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep, you can rewatch any of our videos. They're up there. You know, it's like I tell the kids, don't do anything you don't want the whole world to be able to see for the rest of your life. So yeah, you can go back on our Facebook page and rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it.
So I just want to do like a little mess up so that I can show you how this will lift some of that color up. So I'm gonna do a really dark spot so that I can show you. So I'm pressing really hard on this because I want it to come through.
Do you pre-wash your fabric?
These are not pre-washed. If you don't want it to get all wrinkly, if you don't want your design to get all wrinkly, then I would pre-wash it and then do your design over the top. Just like I showed you with that on point.
So you don't really care about the sizing?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, poor Cindy. She's been doing it all wrong all these years. She didn't know it was supposed to be in circular.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go, Cindy. You learn something new every day. Yes, rewatch and make a shopping list. A really long shopping list.
Really, really long.
Exactly. Okay, so the jacquard, do you paint it on first or you paint it on afterwards to set it?
It's done after. You do not have to lay any color down on this. You don't have to do any prep, I should say, to this other than tracing your pattern. It's the only prep that you have to do to the project.
Okay.
So here I am. I've got this in. And before I blend it, I'm going to take my tacky Fun Tack. And I'm going to come in here and I'm just pressing straight down.
So she got it too dark on purpose for the demonstration to show you that you can remove, if you get something too dark, you can remove the color.
Yep. So I'm just pressing it down and lifting. Pressing and lifting. And sometimes this is a good way to blend too. I mean, that doesn't look terrible as it is, but it's stuck to my fingers. This stuff's really sticky, but can you see the color that I've lifted off of the fabric that's on there?
Yep.
It's amazing. So then before you go to another spot, just squish it a few times so that you get a clean area to work with, so that you can move to another area and start dabbing away. And it just lifts. I've pretty much lifted almost all that color up that I put down. The one thing you don't want to do is come in and like try to erase it like an irregular eraser. You're gonna make your fabric really fuzzy.
Okay.
Okay,
Then,
you want to make sure that it's just pressing and lifting.
And then does the jacquard bleed? Do you need a light coat, a heavy coat?
So what I like to do is I like to do like 2 to 3 coats. You don't even have to do that much. That's just kind of something that I've always done. But just a light coat is all it really takes. And I'm going to show you here in just a second. Where's my brush? There it is. So say you're all happy with this. Let me blend this out, because once you put this colorless extender on there, you want to make sure that you're done with your project. Okay? So let me just blend this out really quick, because I won't be able to change this.
So typically a lot of people would hand embroider some to add dimension to this, but if you have arthritis, you totally could just thread paint it with your sewing machine.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. So I just work straight out of the tube, or the jar. Thank you. What the heck is this thing called?
You know what? It's kind of hard when you're doing a live, because you're like on the spot and you got to think of all the right words at all the right times.
Yep.
It's kind of hard. It's trickier than it looks.
So all I'm going to do is dip in. You can see I've got a pretty substantial amount on the end of my brush, and you're just going to paint it. So nothing fancy. How many of you have used Mod Podge? It's literally doing like the exact same thing.
But
Pick
for
it up.
fabric.
But yep.
Lynn, this is totally up your alley. The first time I met Lynn, she came to the shop to take a tool painting class.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, totally up your alley, Lynn.
And you don't have to worry if you go outside the lines a little bit. Like, I just went out right there. Doesn't matter. This stuff dries clear. Like I said, this whole project, the crow, the pumpkin, other than this little end piece, this has all been covered with this jacquard colorless extender already. So,
And I don't know if you girls can see, but she actually added some brown to the green.
Yep. Yep, I got that little bit of, just so that it added kind of another dimension to it. And it's amazing because once you do that and then you add your thread, whether you're doing it on your machine or you're doing it by hand, it's amazing how much it just enhances your coloring. So if you look at this one.
Connie, we have the extender.
And then here's even a closer up version so you can see the shading and everything. And sorry I don't have my actual sample with me, but
we get the picture.
Yeah. And so you don't have to wait for these to dry before you add another coat.
You paint it on before you do the embroidery.
Yep.
So you'd paint it on, let it dry, heat set it, and then do the embroidery.
If you're using the micron pen. Don't heat set it until the embroidery is done if you use the other pen.
Yeah. Okay, did you girls get that? If you're using the friction pin, don't use the iron until after your embroidery is done. Otherwise, all those nice lines are going to disappear. Whoa. Okay, show the front of the jacquard bottle again.
Am I covering it?
There you go. There you go, Diana. All right, you girls have more questions? Here, we're going to watch her paint it a little bit.
Okay, so just dip it in and you're just adding it.
You just want to add it to where you have
wherever you colored. And just smooth it out. You don't want to leave like if I do this, see how I have those streaks in there? Do not leave streaks. Make sure that you go back and you smooth all of it out so you don't see any streaks. Okay, now for drying time, if you did use the micron pen and you are going to heat set it right away, you want to wait until this is all dry before you heat set it. Otherwise it's going to get on your iron. So dry to the touch. You can, when I'm feeling this right now, you can tell it's wet. That's the other thing. Oh shoot, forgot to tell you. You want to make sure that you put like a piece of paper. This one doesn't matter because I have that backing on, but a piece of paper or paper towel or something
or
underneath.
Wax paper's perfect because that will catch it. So
underneath, so that any that pushes through the fibers of that fabric gets picked up and doesn't get stuck on
your light box or your table. Gotcha. Now we know what happened.
Yep, that's what happened to my light box. It'll come off my light box. I just need to get some Goo Gone.
And Mary Beatty, you can just use Dawn or anything to clean your brushes.
Yep.
I use Dawn a lot. I know, Mary Lou, so many projects, so little time. The ideas are limitless.
The nice thing about this, though, is like this is something that you can sit and watch your favorite TV show and do it at the same time. So you can kill two birds with one stone if you're binge watching something.
Right. Or if you want to do a Zoom with us and you don't really want to work on a project and put too much thought into it, you can have one of these ready to do all the time.
Yep. So dry time, like I said, I always like to make sure that it's completely dry, especially since this has about 3 coats on it now. I want to make sure that it's dry all the way through and not just the top layer before I would do any ironing. I always wait anyway about 24 hours before I do any of heat setting, just because that way I'm 100% sure that it's dry and I don't have to worry about it.
Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. So that's that. And you can see how it's kind of, it looks wet. It looks different than what's over here, but once it dries, this is what it's going to look like. It goes back to looking like your normal coloring because it dries clear. and you can hardly feel it on there. And once you actually heat set it, you can't feel anything at all. So it's almost like it just goes away, but whatever it does, it
So the extender basically is setting it so that you can wash it.
yes, it makes it permanent.
Okay. So
Yep.
you can use it on dish towels. You could do, it would be a fun project, I think, to do with your grandkids and let them
Yep.
do their own coloring and then turn it into placemats or different, you could personalize it in so many ways.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
girls, do you have what was the number of the blender you used the most?
Number 2.
Number 2, Peggy.
That's my favorite size, number 2.
But when you went to Michael's or wherever, it was just in a big set.
Yeah, the whole set came like this. It had all different sizes and doubles of a couple of them. So, and it also came with the sanding discs or sanding thing, whatever you want to call it, so that you can clean the ends of them.
Okay, girls, think of any other questions you have, and while you're thinking of those, Gracie will show you some of the products that we showed today.
And I'm gonna go try to grab my
Rug.
my rug.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Gracie, what do you have for sale today? Miss Vanna White, what are you selling? She doesn't even know who Vanna White is.
Is she white?
She was white, yes she was, but that was her last name.
Okay, whatever.
Hey, Katie,
Oh my
thank
God.
you for my flower. Look at Katie brought me those flowers yesterday. They were so adorable.
Am I starting with everything that we've already done
Yes.
too?
Yep, you
Okay.
can just start with everything.
So I'm just gonna start with these.
The wool mat, SO5, $38. It's 12 inches by 12 inches. It's great because it irons both sides of your fabric at the same time. It absorbs your steam, it grips your fabric. Katie says, hi, Gracie. So we have the wool mats, SO5, $38, 12 by 12. And then we also have the SO4, $49, 12 by 18. So SO4, $49, 12 by 18. If you haven't used a wool mat before, you probably do want to invest in one. I actually haven't used one, but I have heard amazing things. So I'm hoping that we don't sell all of them so that I can take one on vacation and play with it.
Okay.
All right, Lois, what? The wool mats are a game changer. Okay, Christy says it's a game changer and she's buying another one.
Next.
Lois, when I send you a Zoom link, you just have to click on the link, not the phone number, and then that will hook it up through the internet. Okay, Peggy says the wool mats are the best. Connie loves it. She needs one by the machine. Okay, yes, we do carry the light boxes. I'm kind of excited about the light boxes because I've never seen a cutting mat on top of the light box. Okay, and we do have one for sale today, but then we can order more. Okay, Gracie,
Alright, next
the
we
next
have-
item.
Next we have this little book thingy.
Quilt as you go. Techniques, tips, and tools with Pauline Rogers, S11, $29. Too funny, Kate. Too funny, Gracie. Just waiting. I know. She's a comedian. Okay. The Quilt as you go book we have.
Is that not this?
Yeah, that's what you've got.
Oh, okay.
And then we will, S11, $29. And then we will do some fun Zoom projects with the weavers and sashers.
So we have a little.
So the weavers for the 1.5 inch size and the 2.5 inch size, SO9, $24. So SO9, $24. That makes the rug or anything that you want to weave. Okay, Lois. And then we have the basic set, create stunning sashings for quilt as you go quilts, also bindings and biases. So from 1/8 inch to 2.5 inches. And just remember, you're going to cut your fabric double the size of what the big number is on each sasher. And she does have directions. Okay, Mary Lou. Make a list. I am going to be in tomorrow to try to get all your orders out in the mail tomorrow. Okay, this is what the
Here's
rug
the little
or trivet looks like.
Yep. So you can see the stitching through it, and the back I did.
So you just laid a piece of fabric on the back right as you got ready to quilt it, and
Yep.
then that's what finishes it nicely.
Now, the thing that I wanted to show you that I messed up on this, so that you don't do it yourself, is when you're going to cut your piece out from your template, make sure that you get it lined up properly. I had plenty of fabric all the way around, and what happened is I was busy doing too many things at once, and when I cut it, I shifted it too far to one side, so I actually needed another strip right here. That's why I have two browns in a row. That brown, top brown, should have been covered up. And had I centered it properly, it would have been fine. But that's one thing you want to pay attention to, is that you have enough of your weave far enough out to accommodate your template that you choose to cut out.
Perfect. And honestly, if she hadn't pointed out that little mistake, we never would have noticed.
No, most people don't notice it, but I was like, I'm not even gonna, I could have easily fixed it, but I wanted to leave it there because it's good to show you guys what not to do as much as what to do.
For sure.
So,
We always love to learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Yep.
But then we probably will make the same mistake too. But as we make it, we'll say, oh yeah, I remember I was supposed to not do that.
And just remember, mistakes, they give everything character, so.
True, and sometimes the mistake turns out better than
Exactly.
what should have been.
So don't beat yourself up, enjoy it.
Okay, all right, Gracie.
I also, one more thing, I just wanted to show you, because I did have a set of these metallic colored pencils out there. I haven't actually colored with them yet, because I just got them. But they're all different metallic colors.
Okay, so there's another fun set. So we'll get those ordered, the metallic colored pencils. We'll get those ordered so that we can put them on, not next Friday, because we're not doing it next Friday, because we'll still be in Santa Cruz, but the Friday after that. So we'll have everything and more on the next sale that we do.
Does anybody have any questions for me?
Okay, Gracie's going to show some more of the products that we demoed today, because she's like losing her ability to stand still. Gracie,
Okay.
she is a dancing girl. Hey, Margaret, how are you?
This is the glue.
The Roxanne Glue Based It, SO7, $11. So what do we use the Glue Based It for?
The glue based it was for the book.
Oh, it's for the Quilt As You Go book.
The Quilt As You Go book. It's what she recommends for temporarily holding down your sashings before you stitch them down.
Okay, and it washes out, right?
I believe so.
Two-way glue based it. So S11 is the Quilt As You Go handbook, which we'll be playing with.
Yep.
And then SO7 is the glue based it. And then Gracie's got the extender S14, $5.49 for the jacquard colorless extender. So the colorless extender S14, $5.49. And we're going to try our best to get out your orders tonight and tomorrow before we leave on vacation.
All right, we have
But I'm not making any promises, but I will do my very best.
thing.
So S13, $2.49 is the friction pin. So S13, it's in a brown color. It's a super thin pin so that you don't have too big of a line. So let's show them that again. So the friction pin, it irons off. So the number for the friction pin is S13, $2.49. Friction fine liner pin in a brown color.
Yep.
S13. And then Gracie's got the pencil sharpener you've all been waiting for. S10, $7.55. And it does crayons. It does the special pencils with the little knobbies so you have a better grip. And regular pencils. S10, $7.55. So we did do things a little bit cheaper, less expensive pricing than what's normally in the store. The pins, the
We gotta
fork
keep her
pins,
going.
S12, $9 for a set of fork pins. And the fork pins stick really nicely into the wool mats.
2 pins in one.
2 pins
That's
in
what I'm
one. That's
thinking.
true. It's like a horseshoe pin.
Alright.
And then we've got SO2. We've got 12 color pencils. So SO2 is the how do you say that?
Faber Castell.
Faber-Castell. Faber. Like a favor, but a favor.
What were you saying?
Faber-Castell. SO2, $7.99. SO2 for 12 pencils. And then if you want the big box, because you're a big girl and you can have all the colors. No, actually there's more colors. But the 24 colors is SO3 for $14.95. So SO3, Connie, I'm going to scratch that. You don't want SO2 because I know you want SO3. So I'm going to scratch that for you, Connie. So you want SO3 with the 12, with the 24 pencils. And then we'll get the other colors, the metallics. We'll have those for our next Friday sale. And then we have a few patterns that are fun for coloring. So we have Wicket the
Crow.
I know, Connie. Wicket the Crow. $10 for the pattern that was being demoed. So S22, $10. S22, $10 for the crow. S21, this is a cute one. It's just like little, you can make little keychains. So fun projects that you can make and put in the mail to people that you want to know that you're thinking about them.
You do have those.
Pennant thing. Oh, okay. So I'll order. I didn't realize she has the little round things that go around them. So we'll get some of those for the next Friday sale. So S21, $10. They're just cute little projects. You can make necklaces. You can make keychains. You can make all kinds of fun stuff to give to people. Or collect them all for yourself and put them on a Halloween tree. SO6 is $17. That is for the woven floor rug or trivet.
That's all you got?
Oh, Debbie's going to start the crabapple trailer pattern that we showed.
SO6.
SO6 is the woven rug. Sorry. All right, so Debbie, you are our expert. So if anybody has any questions about coloring, Debbie has been doing this for quite a little bit of time, and she shared several of them on the Fabric Chick Stitch Along, which is why we got excited about doing it, because we saw hers. So, Gracie, I think, has music playing in her head.
I do not. Well, in my head, yeah.
So S20, $10. Here's another fun little crabapple hill. I don't think it's colored, but it's just fabric and embroidered, but you totally could color it if you wanted.
You could totally add to it.
Yep, you could add to it, you could bedazzle it, you could thread paint it, you could do anything your heart desires. There are no rules. So S20, $10. S20, $10. And then
We're
we've
getting
got...
somewhere.
This one is super cute for those of you who like to do the little fabric books for kids. This one you can totally personalize with their name or anything you want. So S19, it's $25. It's a counting book. And we'll make that's probably the one I'll make a sample of just because I think it's so cute. And everybody needs a personalized counting book.
Different pictures? No.
Gracie needs to do a class on those neat dance moves. Uh-oh.
It's called TikTok.
Oh, she says go learn them from TikTok. S17, $8. So this is the Salem Quilt Guild. It's a block of the month, although you know we didn't do it as a block of the month. But here's the 50th Annual Quilt Campout Guest Enchantress. And you can also personalize that with your group name or any... That's the great thing about the coloring is you can personalize it for your own style. Mm-hmm. Okay, S17 is $8.50. Okay, we got the Bat Lady. This one I love. It's a cute little trailer for the Salem Quilt Campout, so you can make as few or as many as you want. S16, $8.50. Don't worry, Christy Lee. We'll order them all for you so that you can have, I think there's 12 of them in the whole set. We didn't order all 12 just because we didn't know. We were just trying to get it here quick so we could get started. So S16, $8.50. S15, $8.50 is a cute little glamper, Stitch Obsession. Super cute. Who doesn't need another project? I know. Okay, this should get you started and keep you girls busy while we're on vacation.
S15. In case you don't say it.
S15, $8.50. Maybe I can get Gracie to color all of these for me so we can have a sample. Okay, S1, what's the number under S18, $8.50. Happy Spells, The Bad Girls, whoa, and of course a kitty. And look at the marshmallows just sitting on the camping sticks.
Do you want to see some holiday ones?
We've got holiday ones too. Okay, so we've got Merry Christmas stocking. We don't have these ones in stock. Okay, Christy, you get all of them. We should probably do a special price if you order all of them. Okay, Merry Christmas stocking, super cute.
Okay.
And then, so we can order these ones, polka dot mitten. So we can order these ones. If you girls want these ones, we'll order them special for you and we'll have them to ship out in next Friday's sale.
This one I think has been discontinued.
Okay. And then we've
There's
got
a
some
cute
cute
little-
Easter or spring ones or Valentine's ones. And then look, she's got some cute little flowers up there in that little nest. I guess we could embroider them or they might be appliques, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mary Lou, you might have to get a second job. Yes, I think we all have to get a second job. And Sweet Land of Liberty is a cute little 4th of July Americana one.
And she's got a couple different 4th of July ones, but
Perfect, so we can do them for every season. And then here's the light box. It's SO1, $249. It's supposed to be $275, but $275 just seemed like a weird number, so we made it $249. And this is, what size is that one?
that's the 17 by 12 and a half.
So 17 by 12 and a half inches.
And the cutting mats, we can get
And
those too.
we can order the cutting mats for you also. So there's a plain cutting mat that goes on top of the light box or a grid one. Nan Willis, did your post office ever get back to you? If not, well, call me, Nan Willis. Call me so we can figure out what to do about your post office. Because it says it's sitting at your post office. So those are the two cutting mats. You can use your rotary cutter on top of those mats, on top of the light box. That's all the product. Do you girls have any more questions? So we've got the woven rug, we've got the Quilt As You Go book, the coloring, all kinds of fun stuff. If you have any questions, just post it and we'll answer it over the weekend. Thank you for joining us and thank you for demoing.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Anytime. All right, girls, we'll see you soon. Have a good weekend.